Developers are under time constraints or under all kinds of constraints, not just time, resource, budget, those kind of things. So that's one of the things we tried to look at when we looked at Blackbird as well.
Hi, this is your host Sapna Bhartiya and welcome to TFR Let's Talk. Today we have with us Lori Marshall, VP of Product at Ambassador. Lori, it's great to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you having me today.
It's my pleasure to have you here. And today we are going to talk about, of course, Ambassador and also the new platform that you folks are working on, Blackbird. So there are a lot of interesting things to talk about today, but let's start with some of the basics, which is we have covered Ambassador before, when it was Ambassador Labs. So I want to understand what led to the name change. What is the company now?
So we changed from Ambassador Labs to Ambassador to, we removed the labs just to make sure that it wasn't, a testing or any kind of software that wasn't in production, right? It's not a labs. It is, we are software, production, GA ready software. So that's one of the reasons why we made the name change. But what Ambassador does is we specialize in that developer-friendly solutions. We currently have two products in GA today. We have our telepresence product, which it helps you bridge the gap between your local and remote environments, as well as our Edge Stack, our API gateway product as well. And we really look at designing tools to empower developers to look at that life cycle and design, develop, test, and deploy. So we're all about developer experience here at Ambassador.
And ever since the company was created and where we are now today, a lot has changed, especially in this cloud. AI, Gen AI, EVs, VR, Vision Pro, a lot of things are changing, which means the workloads are changing, the kind of businesses will deal with changing, the kind of developer teams we deal with is also changing. So how do you see the ecosystem has evolved, which also means that you also have to move where your customers are?
So from an ecosystem perspective, and honestly, technology is changing, but the problems for the most part are the same. I mean, we still have silos, right? Now, when COVID hit, we have a lot more of a remote environment problems with that introduce more silos and that kind of a thing. But with the new technology, teams are asked to do more with less resources, with less staff, and less money, of course. And then the other thing that from a development perspective, the challenge is we're always looking at how can they improve on the quality, making that quality better and faster when it goes to production.
Can you also talk about how is your product portfolio services also changing, evolving? You're adding new capabilities or even a new family of product to kind of address these challenges that your customers face?
Yeah, and so as I mentioned, we have our telepresence product and we have our Edge Stack product, which look at that microservices lifecycle. But we're really honing in on developer experience and that API development experience specifically. And so what we're looking at is we're introducing a new product called Blackbird. And Blackbird is going to transform the API management in a couple areas, looking at those problem areas that our devs are facing today. And so when you look at the API development lifecycle, it helps. What Blackbird is going to address is helping to reduce that margin of errors and risk. It helps to improve that consistency and reusability. It decreases that time to market. So addressing those problems with the resources and staff and getting things out faster. And Blackbird, the outcome is to drive those positive business outcomes. Blackbird was actually already recognized by industry analysts and Intellex as a digital innovator in 2024. So we're really excited to focus on that developer experience because we feel like that's where some of the pain points our developers are facing today.
For a long time, we have been talking about persona like DevOps, DevSecOps. We talk about shift left movement. We did not talk much about developers. And now we are starting to realize, that developers are the ones that build these, business applications. And yes, as much as we want to move a lot of things into their pipeline, they should be freed to focus on creating innovative ideas, innovative applications. From your perspective or from Ambassador's perspective, what are some of the key challenges, key problems that developers face And how do you see Ambassador through Blackbird try to address those challenges?
From a challenges perspective, like I mentioned, developers are under time constraints or under all kinds of constraints, not just time, resource, budget, those kind of things. So that's one of the things we tried to look at when we looked at Blackbird as well. The developers are also always trying to figure out, when they release software, they can't test everything. So what is good enough from a quality perspective? So where Blackbird fits into this is we have a couple different features, and while we really think that Blackbird is that innovative, these features aren't new. It's just how we're implementing them and how they're used within Blackbird that really helps from a development perspective. So one of the first features we have that we're introducing with Blackbird is mocking. So our mocking is mocking the API endpoints to enhance that productivity. So help with those resource limitations that we have today. It helps facilitate the testing. So in helping to address those testing, that quality assurance issues that our developers are facing. So mocking is one of our capabilities. The other capability that we have with Blackbird is testing and debugging. So that goes back to that quality assurance, the quality challenge that our developers are facing. So when you test and debug your APIs, you're testing against your production-like data and your traffic to help decrease your development time. And then the last one is what we're calling our deployment feature. So you're deploying your API and your code to a hosted test environment. So you don't have to worry about depending on your infrastructure team. You can now spin up your hosted development or deployment environment and then start testing that way and share that with your stakeholders. So once again, from a problem and what we're trying to solve with developers, really help with those with that time to value and the lack of resources that we know a lot of our developers are facing today.
And developers they have their own set of tools, they have their own environments. How does Ambassador fit into their environment versus, so instead of bringing developers to you go where the developers are?
So that's a great question. So our first release of Blackbird will have those hosted environments, but where we're looking to take Blackbird will be bring your own environments. So bring your environments to us, and we will utilize that within Blackbird, so you can mock in your environment and not have to worry from a security perspective. So we also realize from a hosted environment, sometimes security comes into play. So from a bring your environment to Blackbird, we're also going to support in the future to bring your own environment, and we will handle that as well.
These days, one of the hottest topic is Gen AI, though we are kind of moving beyond that. How is Ambassador Labs using Gen AI? Do you have product or even for Blackbird, or you're like, that is out of our scope? From
a product perspective, you always have to look at how AI can help you, because it's definitely something that a lot of people are getting a useful benefit from. So one of the areas that we are using AI within Blackbird today is to be able to create your API specs. So I can just go into Blackbird and say, I want to create an API spec that handles payment information, handles credit card information, and it will generate that spec for you. The other area that we want to utilize AI for is on the code generation side. So if in Blackbird I say, okay, here's my open API spec, I just want to create this boilerplate code in this language, we can use AI to generate that as well. So those are the two areas that we are evaluating on how AI can help Blackbird get our customers up to speed quicker. So once again, trying to address that faster time to market value.
How do you feel about the general state of the market today? Do you feel that we are solving a lot of developers' problem, or you are still looking, there are some problem areas that are still needed to be addressed and no one is doing that, and that's what Ambassador will try to solve?
One of the key areas I think that Blackbird is trying to solve is, and I've said it several times today, is the time to value, right? So when we look at Blackbird, mocking was one of our capabilities. And when we did a proof of concept and talked to several customers, they said that, oh, don't focus on mocking. Mocking is just a trivial part of development. But the thing is mocking still takes time. And we have customers who it takes them 4 to 5 hours just to create their mocking environments. With Blackbird now, we're addressing that, and you can say Blackbird mock create, and it takes seconds to create your mock. So while some of the people don't see mocking as that big feature, because mocking's out there. For us, it's really looking at Blackbird and analyzing how can we save our developers time, because that's really where people get like I mentioned, all of these features exist today. But what we're trying to do is hone into how can we make it faster for our developers, for our customers.
And how is Blackbird integrated with other Ambassador offering? What does the pricing structure look like? How they can use it?
So right now, Blackbird is currently in beta, and we would love for any additional feedback. You can go to our website, getambassador.io, to join our beta community, our early access community. And provide feedback, play around with it. We love any kind of additional information on how it can help improve your development process. We would love to have that kind of feedback. So Blackbird is currently in beta, and it will be released in Q4 of this year. Blackbird does utilize our API gateway. And then also, once you're ready to deploy to production, you can utilize EdgeStack or another API gateway as well to push your code to production. So that's our EdgeStack product. And then from a testing and a debugging perspective, we are utilizing the coding and the product of our telepresence. So we are utilizing our tools in Blackbird. From a pricing perspective, it's all about utilization, and it's on the number of APIs that you have incorporated and uploaded into Blackbird, and then what you're doing from a mocking and deployment perspective. So that's where all the pricing is on utilization.
We are already talking about one of the things that you folks are working on. So that question may be redundant, but I will ask, what else can we expect from Ambassador this year?
From Ambassador this year, we were focusing, our main focus is our Blackbird product, helping developers increase the time to market with Blackbird, our product. And then we'll be adding more capability on Blackbird to then allow our users, our customers, to bring their environments to us so we can utilize that with Blackbird. We'll also be doing integrations with GitHub, so that way when you make changes, Blackbird can automatically pick those changes up and then create those mocks based on those changes that you've made within your source code tools.
Lori, thank you so much for joining me today. Of course, talk about Ambassador and Blackbird. Thanks for great insights. Thanks for giving the whole, kind of a glimpse into where Ambassador is heading. And I would love to have you folks again on the show. Thank you.
Thank you.